The 4 houses that you saw on McMurtry, I built all 4 of those houses. I had about $125,000 in each house, land included, 100%, probably a little less than 125,000, but we'll use 125,000. Those houses, when I finished with them, appraised for like 2.25.
Okay.
So about 100,000 more than what I had in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't pull all the money I could pull out of it, because if I did, it wouldn't cash flow a good $500 a month. And I wanted to be able to make $2,000 a month off of my cash flow. Because if I could make the $200,000 a month, you know, I only make what I make here in rental. My wife only makes that right there. Every employee here that works for me lives off of my income. We don't have another job that we don't make money at. So I need that number to be a good number so I can pay my expenses. So I pulled out enough that the houses each cash flowed $500. And at that time, the rent was only $1,300, I think is what we started at. Now the rent, just 3 years later, the rent's at $1,700 a month. I pulled everything I had invested in that one. Plus, I think across the properties, I might have pulled another total of $100,000 over everything, over all 4 properties. So I didn't pull tremendous amounts of money because I wanted my note to be, you know, somewhere around $700 a month. Now it was different back then. The interest rates were a whole lot cheaper. Now, to cash flow a property and not make any profit, 1% of the total purchase price is going to be somewhere real close to the number. You're not going to make any profit off of it. That's going to be real close, and in some areas you're going to lose money at 1%. Okay. So if it was a $200,000 property and you charge $2,000 a month in rent, and you're borrowing your money at 8%, and you put your maintenance costs in there, you put your insurance in there, you put your taxes in there, you put your, you know, accounting in there, your attorney fees, and anything else you got, you put all that in there, and you're breaking even at 8% interest. As interest rates go up, every 1% interest rates go up, your buying power loses 3%. So if you take 3% of $100,000, $3,000, if you got approved by the bank at 7% interest, you could afford a $100,000 house. When that rent goes up, when that interest rate goes up to 8%, you're really going to drop, and you're going to be approved for about $197,000. If it goes up 1%, you're going to lose about 3% of your buying capacity, your buying power.
Wow.
And that's not exact figures. That's roughly, everything changes as interest rates go up and down and maneuver around, but that's a good rule.
That's roughly.
Yeah.
How that goes.
And the 1% rule, you know, people used to just invest with the 1% rule. If it did 1% of rent, I can make money. Well, it doesn't quite work at 8%. It did work at 4% like crazy. It did great at 4%.
So when you're pulling the equity out on that, you're paying about 8%.
So on a $200,000 house, just grab my screen. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna borrow $200,000. So there's a loan amount. We're going to do it on a 30-year term. We're going to do it at 4% interest. My payment is $954 a month. Okay. We take that exact same number, but we change the interest rate to 8% interest. It goes up to $1,400. So we lost $500 worth of your monthly income when that rent went from 4%, or when that interest went from 4% to 8%. That's a big difference when you're trying to buy a house and, you know, you're approved, and if it goes up $100, you can't afford it.
Right. So
that 4% in interest made the note go up
$500.
Yeah, it was more than that, right? What was it like at 4%? 4%? I forgot the number. Oh, yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is I'm trying to figure out how much I actually can take out of a property, not the whole thing, and still make sure it cash flows $500 to $700 a month, which means I can't take all of it because then I'm not cash flowing.
So let's say we're at 8%, okay?
And
So we'll go back up to 8%. All right, so now our payment's there. So let's change the next number. Okay, well, we can't cash flow properly. Okay, what happens if we just do we pull all our money out? Now we've changed the loan amount to $125,000. hold on, 125, 12500.
But at that 8% rate.
Yeah, 8% interest, 30-year term. 970, same money.
But the house
Same
is
money
worth-
as that's the same money as it was at 4%. So we lost. We just took $75,000 out of the scenario, and our payment stayed basically the same. Right?
Yes. At 4%.
Between 4% and 8%.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah. That's why now a huge majority of the houses right now are financed on 30-year notes at 3% interest. Those people aren't selling those houses because they're not going to ever see that interest rate again, probably. They're going to keep the houses. And why would you sell a house you're getting 3% interest on and go buy another house that you're getting 8%? You already see the amount of buying capacity you're going to lose when you do it. So you don't want that. So you're going to hold that house, and you're going to hold that house, and you're going to hold that house. We don't have a housing crisis in our country with people losing their mortgages because where inflation is going up and everything's going up, their wages are going up, the price of food is going up, their mortgage is not going up. Not the people that have it locked in at 3%. I know some people still got it in the 2s. You know, once you got that locked in, it's locked. It's not going anywhere. So for you build a house right now,
You'd want to refinance.
you pull less out, you pull less money out, and then as soon as the interest rate drops, you refinance it and pull what you want to pull out, and you get to know where you want to get it locked in at.
Okay.
Adjustable rate mortgages, you know, people that got adjustable rate mortgages when the mortgage rate was 3% and 4%, that was a foolish move, you know, because now their interest rates are going up. Let's say they did that 5 years ago, they got a 5-year term on it. At 5 years, their interest rates start going up. Now this year they're going from 4%, 3%, 2% to 8%. That's going to make people lose their houses if they got adjustable mortgage rates. I know people that do syndications on apartment complex and stuff. Well, they get something that's called bridge debt. So they buy the apartment complex. Let's say they buy an apartment complex for $5 million, but they need to put $3 million in repair costs, and they can't afford everything. So they get an interest only payment. It's at 3%, and then they borrow another $3 million to do the repairs. It's at 3%, but it's a bridge loan. So they can use that money for a year or 2 years, however long the bridge loan is. And then once the bridge loan is done and they finish the project, they got to refi it out. Well, if they did that at 3% and it went up to 8%, and you're talking $5 million, $7 million, it's so much money it puts the apartment complex where they can't afford it. So there will be some deals that come available, but it's going to be because of people that did not think that interest rates were going to continue to go up, and people didn't think that the economy was going to do what the economy did.